This is Adam Elio Berkowitz from Israel 365, coming at you live from the Golan, where all the fun is. We were planning on talking about one thing, but we're going to be talking about something entirely different. I am firmly convinced that there are about 20 people who are working double overtime to bring the final redemption and fix the world. And my friend Jim Barfield, who we spoke with last week, is definitely one of them. Jim not only does the Copper Scroll Project and is working to bring the third temple and find the utensils, but I would call him a devout American. Jim is on his way home from the protests in Washington, and he's taking time out from his trip to let everyone know what actually went down. Jim, you said that there were over 1 million people there. That's astounding. I can't even imagine it. You went out from Oklahoma.
Yeah, we left from Oklahoma a couple of days ago, and we intended fully to come here and support Trump and the people that are in this protest. And I'm going to say there was at least 1 million people. And I sent you some videos, by the way. And if you get a chance to look at them, take a look at it. You can see where the from the actual Capitol, they look back, it scans back over the horizon, and you can see people. It's just incredible how many people were there.
First of all, I don't think we've ever had anything like that, at least not in my memory. And I'm not such a young man. And it's really, it really says something when so many Americans come out. What do you think the main message was that the people went there to say?
The main message was they were stealing our votes. They were stealing the election, and they still are in the process of it. If you're keeping up with it, it's pretty tense right now between the Democrats and Republicans. And I'm going to tell you, it's really not between Democrats and Republicans. It's against deep state. It's against people who are trying to take over our government. And I don't believe that. I know that that's what's happening. And that's what we're all fighting against.
I never liked the term deep state, and I always rejected it. But in the last year or so, since the Mueller investigation, I really have no choice. I have to accept that is the reality, that there is a deep state trying to subvert the wonderful country of America. I think that's where
Jim,
we're at.
They're not just coming for us. It's not just us they're coming for. I promise you, they're coming for Israel. They're coming for every country that will bow to their knee or bow and get on their knees for them. I'm telling you, we've got a major issue on our hand, and people thought it was conspiracy theory. It's not. It's not conspiracy theory. It's actually happening.
Jim, I have a question for you.
You can look, check that out. Check out the videos whenever you get a chance.
There are a lot of rumors going around about who exactly was it that stormed the Capitol. Some people are blaming Antifa, some people are blaming left-wing radicals, and others are blaming Trump supporters, or a mixture thereof. Do you have any idea, any insight as to who was it that actually stormed the Capitol?
Yeah, I could tell you for sure. I've got photographs of it as well. The main characters, there's 2 of them, main characters that stormed the Capitol. They were actually led to the location where they needed to storm to. That's on video. And one of them is in a Viking hat with fur and got the horn sticking up out of it, like a buffalo horn sticking up out of it.
Not like any Trump supporter I know. Yeah, not like any Trump supporter I know.
No. Well,
he wouldn't fly in Texas.
The main thing is this. Yeah. Well, the main thing is this. He's got his shirt off and there are tattoos all over him. And guess what? All those tattoos, the guy that was standing there showing his little muscle, has got the exact same tattoos, the exact same uniform as Antifa guys, or him in another Antifa gathering. So they're caught. And
now the woman that was shot and unfortunately was killed, she was a veteran, a U.S. Air Force veteran, and she was an outspoken Trump supporter. So clearly there was a mixture of both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and why she, to me, and I believe she was an officer. Why in the world would an officer in the military, because that's a big no-no, get involved in something like that? Do I believe that the Trump supporters were on the outside doing some, pretty angry? Yeah, absolutely. Matter of fact, that's what that video that I sent you guys, there's 4 of them. That's what it is. You can see them pushing against the guards because Trump people were angry, very angry, but they weren't the ones that went into the building. Not that I could tell, other than this young lady. I don't know how she got in there. I don't know how she got into the mix at
The
all.
next question is that since 9/11, it's been very, very difficult to get into the Capitol building at all under normal circumstances. It wasn't a surprise rally. I mean, they knew that this was coming probably months ago, that this was going to happen. Definitely as of last week, they were already preparing for hundreds of thousands of people to converge on the Capitol. How is it possible that this was allowed to happen? How is it possible that they were able to breach the security?
Thank you. That's a very, very good question, isn't it? How did and they just went to a back, one of them, one group went to a back window, knocked the window out, climbed through the window, and then they were confronted by a guard, probably Capitol guards, Capitol Police, and we couldn't tell for sure. But he's standing there in the doorway as they're on the opposite side of the doorway, and he doesn't have his gun out, and he reaches down and grabs his baton, which is on the ground, and he starts up the stairs, and it's like they're all following on where to go. It's crazy. It's just nuts that it all happened like this.
I noticed a lot of them were wearing tactical gear, helmets, vests. Just I mean, I kind of laugh at it because unless you're like really in a combat situation, that stuff is dress up. It's Halloween, but it tends to be the people who are like they say the Proud Boys, groups like that. And I hear people even saying Nazis, and I'm like, Nazis are not Trump supporters. And I remember when after the debates, they were talking about the Proud Boys, and I did some research. Anything you read about the Proud Boys since the presidential debates says that they're right wing, but anything you read about the Proud Boys before the presidential debates does not say they're right wing. There's definitely an agenda to pin this on the right wing. I also want to point out: did you see anything burning? Any burning garbage cans, burning buildings, toppled statues, anything like? Right. So if you're going to scream about this, then you should certainly.
I think that the $1 million question, the elephant in the room, is who has it in their best interests? Who is really winning from this event, right? It's clear that from this event, that all of the politicians, practically all the politicians, practically all the media, has come out and has given up, basically rolled over, and playing dead now. They're all condemning the event, which I would love to discuss with you as far as condemnation of violence, but clearly this has only worked for one side, and that's the left. It has not helped the Trump administration. It hasn't helped the vice president. It hasn't helped the Republican National Party. So exactly who is this? Who is benefiting from this violence?
Well, listen, the biggest thing that they could do is to discredit the people that were in Washington, D.C., us. We went there for a peaceful protest. And I'm not kidding. I've been to 3 really large, and the one with last month after the steal, they called it Stop the Steal. It was very, very peaceful. And for let's say, just for grins, that Antifa, this guy with the buffalo horns, they all did all this stuff just to make everybody believe that it was Trump. That was Trump supporters. They're violent because, listen, everything that they said on the news, everything they said was that how violent the people were, that it was a mob, it wasn't a organized protest, which it absolutely was. They were running us down like we were the mobsters. all this time that all this demonstration and the destruction was happening in the Northwest, it was no. These are peaceful protesters. They were standing there videotaping
Mostly
this.
peaceful. Mostly peaceful. You can say the
Oh
same thing
yeah,
about yesterday. Yesterday was mostly peaceful.
Oh my God! Well, that's not what we're getting over here. That it was a riotous mob is what we're getting. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Of
So
course, if
that's,
it were to have been a mob and there were 1 million people that were rushing the Capitol, the Capitol today would be in the hands of Trump supporters, not in the hands of
exactly.
our duly or unduly elected officials. So that there's no way they could stop 1 million people from taking over the Capitol if they wanted to. Clearly, that wasn't the intention of the vast majority. My question is something else. I want to pivot a little bit. Let's just assume that they discovered that these were actually Trump supporters, and they were just fed up. And like you said in the beginning, there are many people right now that are just fed up with the system, and they feel that they're being ignored. I would say half the country feels that they're totally being ignored, that there's no redress at all to any of their grievances. To say that we condemn violence outright is someone who is either ignorant of U.S. history or purposely, intentionally not mentioning what our roots are in the United States. If somebody doesn't know, the revolution was very violent. And the revolution was basically revolting against our government at the time, which was the crown of England, and saying that we are not going to allow for this tyrannical government to continue without giving us our rights that are inalienable and given by God. So at the point where I'm not saying that it happened, I'm not saying who did it, because I don't think that's clear to anyone right now. But to say that violence never has a place, in fact, I'll take it a step further and say that the Second Amendment is clear from the U.S. Constitution that the Second Amendment are the teeth that the framers put into the Constitution in order to stop this, to give the power to the people, to not allow a government just to walk right over them. And to ignore that, again, I think is somebody is totally ignorant or purposely trying to ignore the facts on the ground.
Jim Jordan said something really, really sharp. I like him. He's sharp. He said something very sharp today. He said in the Congress, he said, look, he said there, and this is a data that people have been quoting quite a bit, that over 67% of Republicans, or over 70%, feel that the election was stolen. Over 30% of independents, and even 16% of Democrats. Yes. Everyone feels that something stinks. You cannot have a democracy if people do not trust the election. He pointed out that 4 years ago, when people felt there was Russian collusion and they were pointing the fingers at Trump, well, they put in a 2-year investigation. Biden, if he really wants to enter into office and make everything calm, restore confidence in the government, restore confidence in him, if he wants to do that, there's only one way, but it's really very simple. Do an open and thorough investigation into and I think that's what over 1 million people were asking for yesterday.
And that's what Senator Ted Cruz said in his opening statement. He said that all we're asking for is that there be a bipartisan, independent commission that looks in for the next 10 days. It could be done before the swearing-in ceremony on the 20th, that looks into these inconsistencies and determines finally whether there was something to discuss here or not. And that made perfect sense until the storming of the Capitol, and then they skipped all the public debate and went straight for just giving a red carpet to Biden to walk into the White House.
So why do you think why would there be any benefit for us to have stormed the Capitol? And I'm telling you, there were guys that wanted to, I'm sure of it. But the biggest benefit was for Biden. I'm telling you. And gosh, how even the lady that we listened to Trump at live, we were there with him, and he was bragging on this Loeffler that was from Georgia, and she was all for Trump. And then all of a sudden, when this storming of the Capitol, if you want to call it that, happened, she flipped, and so many of them have flipped. And guys,
Oop, did we lose Jim?
They're
I'm
even talking about enacting the 25th Amendment, which, for those that are not familiar,
Yes.
basically is able to take the president out of office prematurely because he's not physically or mentally capable of continuing his role. So they're talking about Biden being the 47th president instead of the 46th president because Vice President Mike Pence would take over for the next 2 weeks, and that is and their AOC has already said that she's writing up papers of impeachment, which is obviously ridiculous because you can't have an impeachment in 2 weeks. Although you never know with this crazy bunch what they would do.
They got away without high crimes and misdemeanors. They could do it in 48 hours, I'm sure. So, Jim, I got to ask you something. First of all, I am so proud of you. I am so proud to call you my friend because I really feel that by going there, by being heard, by not being what's the word? Not apathetic, by not being complacent. Complacency is the first step towards death and defeat. You were not complacent. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud to call you friend.
Thank you, sir.
What are you going to do now? Please don't tell me you're going to give up. What are you going to do?
No. I'm not giving up. You can bet on that.
You got my prayers backing you up. So, where are you going to take it from here?
And the next step is, and listen, guys, there's a gentleman you need to listen to. Several people in this car, I even thought he was crazy, including me initially. He began to tell us things that were so unbelievable that we were just going, no, this can't be right. But he's been right every time. And one of the things was what he said about this, what happened yesterday. The man's not a prophet, but he knows what he's doing. He's an attorney. Have you heard of Linwood?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and the next thing that he said, and again, this is very controversial, is that our President Trump, is going to initiate some military action because, guys, this is a coup. Not what Trump is doing. It's a coup. They are taking over our country. They've stole the election, and these people, you wouldn't want them in your home, much less running the government. They're horrible people. They're robbing everything. They're stealing. They become rich, being lifetime members of Congress or what you name it. Anything they can get into. And the bad part is this, and I hate the term deep state as well, but we'll call it that. Deep state has reached all the way down to the city government level, and I'm not joking. There's a communist effort to take over this country, and the Chinese are very much in on this. Call me crazy, do whatever you want to, but I'm telling you,
mayors were sending away the cops and giving them stand down orders and allowing their cities to be burned. What is this defund the police? What is that? That's insanity. It doesn't make sense.
Someone suggested that President Trump could replace Mike Pence as vice president now with General Flynn, or with someone who is actually has the guts to do something and declare obviously martial law. The question really is at this point, what that would accomplish besides an open civil war, and there are those that are looking forward to that. I'm thinking that there are states that may ask to secede from the union, like Texas. Then perhaps your state, that are not willing to just roll over and play dead, and allow these few states to basically decide a illegitimate election.
Well, I think we're past that point now because they openly announced Biden and Kamala Harris as the presidential team. Guys, the only thing that we have left is going to be military action. Now think about this. Trump, a couple of months ago, he took the entire special forces, SEALs, all the special operations teams out from under, and he put them directly under his command. Now, why in the world would a president do that unless I'm telling you, he couldn't trust the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Couldn't trust him. You wouldn't believe how deep this corruption has gone into our government. And he had to make a move. And the only reason that he would make a move like that is either to protect himself and the family, which was a very important thing for him to do, or to prepare for what I believe is coming within the next few days. And I think it's going to be big and very noticeable.
I have to say I disagree with you because
I hope I'm wrong.
Right. However, I have to take into account that we're not talking about Biden as president and Harris as vice president. We're talking about Democratic control of the Senate and Congress. The next year until the elections is going to be very ugly. We're talking about the filibuster. We're talking about packing the courts. We're talking about immigration reform that just doesn't. It not only won't it be good, it won't be constitutional. We're talking about a lot of things. The Iran deal. We're so much closer to the Iran deal. They'll have a nuclear weapon in a few years thanks to Biden. The implications for this are not just Biden in the White House. The implications are huge. And really, we've seen it in the last 4 years. I don't understand. You look at the Durham investigation and how the investigations against Trump were initiated. This goes very deep. We're not talking about one or two elected officials. We're talking about an entire aspect of the bureaucracy that runs Washington, which is basically the entire country is run from one city. They're all very, very, very in bed with each other, if you'll pardon the expression. And
Jim,
it's very scary.
What do you think about the vice president, Mike Pence? He's a man of faith. He's a man of honor. He's a man of deep conviction. And according to Trump, at least in his last tweets that have not been censored, he basically threw him under the bus and said to him, "You know what? You missed your opportunity, and you did not have courage when you were supposed to, and it's all your fault." What are your thoughts?
I agree. I absolutely agree. Pence is not the man I thought he was initially. I thought he was a good man. He was a moral man. But guys, I'm telling you, there's some stuff coming out about him that it just make you sick. The guy is not who he looks to be. Is not who he appears to be. And he turned on all of us that are trying to make this problem go away. He turned on us. You can even see there's a video of him and Nancy Pelosi getting together and bumping elbows like, "Hey, we got it done." Guys, this is deep. That's why I'm telling you, this even affects the rebuilding of the temple. Because if we were on course to, I shouldn't say that, Israel was on course to gain the entire West Bank Valley, the Jordan Valley, which includes Qumran, which includes everything that we're hoping is there. And if that had happened when it was supposed to have happened about a year or so ago, then we would be, I don't care, we'd be digging stuff up no matter what. Because I think you've got a lot of, let me tell you something, you've got a lot of deep state in your country. I have no doubt about that.
Sure we do.
There's some serious corruption in both of our countries. And that is why initially I wanted to talk to you guys about how it's controlling even excavations in Israel. It's way deeper than they don't want this temple built. They don't want anything found that's going to disrupt their plans. And bringing out, let's say, the Ark of the Covenant, bringing out a ton of vessels for the temple would put Israel on course for rebuilding it, because it motivates. It is such a motivational issue that if we find all these things, oh my goodness, that would inspire everybody. Here in the United States, it would inspire people because it belonged. There's now we got something tangible we can put our hands on and say, look, Jeremiah hid these things for the day of the coming of the Messiah. And guys, that's what I'm working for. Even today, I wasn't up here so much about this deep state thing as I was to try to keep someone in place that is a friend of Israel, the greatest supporter, in my opinion, of Israel in history from the United States. The only one maybe a little more effective was King Cyrus. And you guys minted a coin with Trump and King Cyrus on it.
Yes, we did.
So I'll stop there.
I think you're absolutely right. It's like, and it's the thing that no one's really looking directly at, which is, Trump. He actually did a lot of things that people aren't aware of. He did a lot of things for against abortion, even things that the left wing should agree with. Animal rights. He did a lot of really good stuff. He really helped the economy. I don't think he was that bad with the coronavirus.
Election integrity should be something which is bipartisan. Everyone should agree to the fact that we want the votes to count, and we want to know that they were legitimate. And unfortunately, when they had a vote, it was 0 Democrats that voted for it, and all the Republicans voted for it. There's clearly they have a different agenda here.
Right. I think Jim is right, though, that the thing that no one is really looking directly at and no one's saying out loud is that the thing that Trump was known for, the thing that really set him above everyone else, was his connection with Jerusalem, his connection with Israel, and especially Jerusalem. And apparently all the other side, for which, that the idea of God being one is a huge threat, they were working double overtime to stop him, especially just because of that one point.
What sets Trump apart, in my opinion, is that he is not a politician. Trump is not beholden to anyone. He doesn't give a damn. And that's a big deal because you have a career politician as good as he is, like Mike Pence, and he's thinking about his reputation, even though he shot himself basically in the foot yesterday, because he's never going to get reelected after this. But the fact is that Trump is perhaps the one of the only presidents in U.S. history that really is concerned about his agenda and has no one else. He's not beholden to anyone else. I mean, that you can argue that perhaps even from the beginning of the creation of the United States, we haven't found such a character. And we are fortunate that we've had 4 years of him, and God has his plan. In the end, it's all up to him how this is working. We believe that everything that God is, like I mentioned yesterday, is a puppeteer, and the leaders of different nations are just puppets in his hand, and everything that we're doing is leading towards the redemption and the rebuilding of the temple, whether we realize it or not. It doesn't always seem that way, and sometimes it seems like we're going in the opposite direction. But there is a greater plan that we know that we can rely on. So those of us of faith can definitely feel secure in where we're heading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think everything's coming to a head. And I want you to remember this. I could be incredibly wrong, but I hope not. This show's not over. I don't think it's over with. But again, that's my opinion. We'll see what happens. Just stay tuned.
Don't you be getting weak or giving up on me, Jim. You're my representative over there.
Nope.
I'm sending you all my prayers, all my hope. I want you to stand strong.
I ain't giving up, Bubba.
And I know you.
I'm not giving up on the Copper Scroll. I'm not giving up on the Copper Scroll project, and I certainly am not giving up on my country either. Because someday, my country, my hope is, it's going to be Israel. I'm planning on it. Laurie and I are talking about it seriously, and that's where I need to be.
I highly recommend the
if
Golan.
you guys will let me.
Highly recommend.
I'm all for the Golan.
But in the meantime, and I'll tell you, that's just it. The people I know who are standing for Trump, the people I know who went to the protest yesterday, these are strong people. These are people who are strong in spirit, strong in faith. And I saw a lot of faith, a lot of really beautiful faith, not in the violence, but in the flags, in the patriotism, in the desire to be heard, to fix the country. There was a lot of faith there. And that's a strong faith. And you can break a person in body. You cannot break a person in faith if their faith is strong.
I have a question, Jim. As a military man, the conservatives have always had the utmost respect. That we know the president has the utmost respect for the military, for law enforcement. And my question is whether two questions actually. The first is whether this is going to create a rift, a divide between the conservatives and law enforcement and the military. And the second question is within the military, we know that there are oath keepers. There are people that take their oath towards the Constitution very seriously. And there are others that are not. And the question is what will happen when they are put head to head?
There's going to be a fight. I am an oath keeper. I took the oath to defend this country, and I'm a believer, strong believer in Torah and the God of the heavens, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And gentlemen, we're not going to go down easy. We're gonna stand our ground. And there's a lot of people that are this way as well. And I just want you guys to know that we're not giving up. We're going to do everything we can to stand and hold on, because I think, again, this show's not over.
You're on mute, Elio. Just
I get all excited. It's funny that in the last 24 hours, the left-wing media, the left-wing people are like, oh look, the right wing is violent. I'm sorry, we've been sucking up a lot of violence in the last year and a half. There's been a lot of violence we've been sucking up. Also the impeachment, also the political stuff, but also violence. You know something? I have a feeling that if these people really push it, they're in for a very unpleasant surprise, and unfortunate, really unfortunate, but very clearly justified. It can get very ugly, and I know which side I don't want to be on. It's clear to me.
Well, stay tuned, guys, and I'm not kidding. And honestly, guys, I apologize, but I don't have much time left. We got to catch our airplane, and I got a bunch of hungry people sitting here with me. And
okay,
I am really looking forward to getting together with you guys in Israel and sitting and talking with both of you. I think we got a lot to talk about.
Jim,
let me tell you one last thing, that there is a midrash that says that in the end of days, that the world is going to be like a huge hurricane, and the eye of the storm is going to be here in Jerusalem, here in Israel. And everybody from the outside is going to look, and they're going to look at this storm, and they're going to say that's the most dangerous place in the world to be, when in reality the eye of the storm is going to be the calm, where it's going to be the calmest.
That's it. That's the way I see it too. That's the way I believe it. And if you get a chance, get old Joe Good on here. Let him talk to you about some photography. He is an awesome. He's a genius, guys.
I'll give him a call tonight.
Okay.
He's the man. Okay, Jim, thank you so much. Be blessed. Our prayers are 1,000% with you. We are praying for you to stand strong. Be blessed, and more power to you. Kol hakavod.
Thank you very much, guys. And take a look at those videos. I think you'll be entertained by them.
Sure.
Or interested, maybe not entertained. So you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day. And I know it's time for you to go get something to eat. You guys have a wonderful time, and we're looking forward to talking to you again.
Safe travels. Be well.
Thank you very much, guys. Bye-bye.